أفلا يتدبرون القرآن أم على قلوب أقفالها.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا Muhammad وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So last lesson, what we took, we carried on with the introduction of introduction to Tafsir generally. So we mentioned a number of points. From the first points that we mentioned were 10 miracles of the Quran. So Ammar, is it only you today or anyone else with you?
I don't know.
Khair, we'll just test you then inshallah. Khalas, tell me as many miracles of the Quran as you can.
And first one being the eloquence of the Quran and the order and the way it's structured, and that is easy to memorize, and with it, and in it are things from the information that are given to the Prophet ﷺ that wasn't given to other nations, and in the Quran is guidance for all mankind, and that we there's never a time we get tired of and bored from it.
That's about 6 anymore.
That's what I remember.
Here, there's what the Quran has informed of future events, the legislations, the clear proofs, the fact that it's been preserved, and so on. Khas, tell me some. Right. Tell me some virtues of the Quran.
Virtues are the best of people are those who learn the Quran and teach it to others. And the second hadith of Rasulullah said that the one who reads the Quran is like مع السفرة الكرام بررة, and with the upright angels, and the one who struggles and the one who struggles with the Quran, it will get two rewards, double the reward. And third hadith I can remember is that Allah will elevate people and destroy people because of the Quran. And fourth one, the Quran will come on Yawm al-Qiyamah as an intercessor for its companion. And the fifth one, I can't remember.
The fifth one was the example of a believer who recites the Quran, and then the example of a hypocrite, and so on. We mentioned that. Okay, excellent. After that, we started going through the title of the book. So before going through the title, the first thing we did was talk about the author of the book, which is Sheikh Salih Al-Usaymi. We mentioned a little bit about him. MashaAllah, Brother Ridwan, when he made these posts, he actually went and found some more information regarding the Sheikh, and he added a lot more. So he added the education of the Sheikh, also a bit of the biography of the Sheikh. I mean, this should come first, then the education, and also some of the books that the author has authored. I mean, he's authored many books. Sometimes sometimes it's his own book. Sometimes it's summaries. For example, he goes Mufasal fi usul Tafsir. He basically summarized. This one, but he's got a Mukhtasar. He's got a summary of Shaykh al-Islam's Muqaddimah fi usul Tafsir. He's got another of Nawaqid al-Islam, so he made it into a poem. Because the Shaykh, subhanAllah, is when it comes to memorization, the Shaykh, mashallah, has memorized a lot. Okay, then we talk about the Shaykh. After the Shaykh, we went through the title. So, what does Tafsir actually mean?
And Tafsir means is to uncover a covering, and that's the linguistic definition, and the technical definition is to explain the meanings of the Quran.
And mention some benefits of studying the Tafsir of the Quran.
And you'll be able to understand the kalam of Allah, and it will increase you in khushu'.
Increase you in khushu' of the salah. Also very good. Right. Okay, then we talked about how was the Quran split generally, or how did the Sahaba split the Quran?
And the Sahaba split the Quran so that they're able to finish it every 7 days in a week. So is the abbreviation is for me Bishawqin. So from Surah Al-Fatihah to Surah Al-Ma'idah, And from Surah to Ma'idah to Surah to Yunus, and from Surah to Yunus to Surah to Isra, and from Surah to Isra to Surah to what's it? I forgot the Surah.
Well, what was the word? What was the word to memorize?
بفميم شوق it starts with Shin, so Shu'ara, yeah, نعم.
شعراء نعم.
Shu'ara, and then from Shu'ara to Safat, and then Safat to Qaf, and then Qaf to Nas.
Lastly, Qaf to Surah to
Nas.
An-Nas. Very good. Okay, then we start talking about the Mufassal. Now, one thing I want to clear, and I'll show this on the PowerPoint as well, is that I titled Mufassal, and then I explained this, okay? And then after that, I went on to mention the 3 types of the different Mufassal. I want everyone just to know that Mufassal is not referring to how the Sahaba split the Quran. Mufassal is actually referring to from Surah Qaf to Surah An-Nas. That's Mufassal. And then from them there are 3 types. I don't want anyone to get confused. The way the Sahaba split the Quran, that was just general. That's more like an introduction, because obviously we're splitting the surahs. So I just give like a general one of how the Sahaba used to split the Quran. Okay, so this isn't known as Mufassal. This is just generally, this is called Tahzeeb al-Quran. How the Sahaba made it, how the Sahaba split the Quran. So as for the Mufassal, okay, Mufassal, okay, it's not written here in the video, in this post. However, Mufassal is something which is broken up, and we call it that because it's broken up into because each surah is broken or is split by what?
The Basmala.
By the Basmala. Okay, and how many how many types of Mufassal are there?
And there's 3: الطويل المفصل, الأوساط المفصل, and قصير المفصل.
Okay, and explain them.
So the طويل are the longer forms and the longer ones. So it starts from Surah Qaf to Surah Naba, and the one in the middle, المفصل, is from Surah Naba to Surah Duha, and the shorter ones are from Surah Duha to Surah Nas.
Okay, ahsant. And what did the Prophet ﷺ used to recite in his salawat?
And in Fajr, he used to read the longer forms, and in Dhuhr and Asr, he would read the middle ones, and Isha, and for Maghrib, he would read the smaller one, the Qisar.
Which salah is that?
And Maghrib, he would read the Qisar,
and in Isha, the Awsat. Okay. Generally speaking, Dhuhr was a little longer than Asr. So you might find some of the ulama said that Dhuhr, was closer to Tiwal. I mean, it was from the longer ones of the Awsat. And all of these we mentioned, they're, general. You might find a hadith here and there which show that a person did not recite one of these. For example, in Maghrib, once he recited, subhanAllah, I forgot to check, either Surah An-Na'am or Surah A'raf, which is over just longest in the 7th or 8th juz. So these are just general. Hence why here in the title, the person would read in Salah generally. Okay, why are we going through these surahs specifically?
Because one of the reasons are most of the people have memorized these surahs, and a lot of the people read these surahs in the Salah, and the first a person to get the priorities to study the Quran.
Okay, what about Surah Fatihah? That's not part of these surahs, is it?
No, Surah Al-Fatihah we read it 17 times a day, so
minimum 17 times a day, just in the Furud Salawat. Ahsant, very good. Right. And obviously these diagrams, inshallah, they'll be sent into groups. Last week's sent, right? They were sent in the group. And also you can, also they've been put in the link of the bio or description of the YouTube videos as well, so you can download them from there also. Okay, so this is the context again. So last week we talked a bit about the definition of the Quran, some general points. We talked about Revelation and Makki and Madani surahs also, and then we just revised what we took in last week's lesson. So here, how did the Sahaba split the Quran? Last week I put the word Mufassal there, and then I've taken it out because some students still get confused. They decide calling this Mufassal. This isn't Mufassal. This is just general. Just a general splitting of the Quran. Mufasal are these. This is what Mufasal actually is. Okay, now we're going to finish off the introduction, inshallah, in this PowerPoint bismillah today. And a lot of these points are very straightforward, and you could, you can just reading it would make sense also. How the Sahaba, radiallahu anhum, would learn the Quran. How would the Sahaba learn the Quran? Sahaba, they would memorize only 10 verses at a time, understand them, act upon them, and only then they would move on. Okay, so meaning the point meaning here is not necessarily the number 10, but the point is that they will learn a little and understand it and also act upon it. There's something which we lack in. Sometimes we memorize, we don't understand them, we don't act upon them. Okay, we just move on. Okay, so that's a deficiency from our side, which we need to work on, and we're going to talk a bit about the different types of people when it comes to the Quran. And the proof for this is Abu Abdurrahman Sulami. He says that the companions would learn to recite 10 verses from the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him. They will not take another 10 verses until they understood the knowledge and deeds they contained, meaning they will act upon it. They would say, so due to this, the Sahaba would say, we learned sacred knowledge and action together. They learned both together. And this is in Muslim Imam Ahmad, and there are many other narrations in different books also. Right. What are the different types of people when it comes to the Quran? There are 3 types of people. There are 3. 2 extremes are those in the middle. طرفين ووسط. 2 extremes and in the middle. So those who are negligent, i.e. they abandon the Quran. Okay, and abandoning can be a number of reasons. Here we've got 5, and these are the 5 that Shaykh Haytham Sarhan mentions, but there are more. Ibn Qayyim also has a statement in the Tafsir of the ayah, in the ayah that's going to come on the next page, and he adds a few others. So what are the ways that one abandons the Quran? By not reading it. So you're not reading it, so it's a means of abandoning the Quran. Not memorizing it, that's a means of abandoning the Quran. Especially in the short surahs, you should memorize a bit. Try to always increase. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be in a Hifz class and become a Hafiz of the Quran. It's not obligatory to become a Hafiz of the Quran, but you should have that connection with the Quran. And in fact, the more you read, the more you automatically start to memorize. People, you pick it up. That you'll find is those who are Hufaz, you guys can agree with me here, where it is that in the beginning you find it hard, but the more you read, memorize more, because the fact that you've read more, it becomes easier to memorize. You recognize the words more, you know how to memorize, and it just becomes a lot easier. Pondering over it, try to understand what it means, acting upon it, and this is very, very important. Treating sickness with it, because the Quran is a shifa. And there's others as well. Ibn Qayyim mentions also listening to it, you could add. He also talks about whenever you have a dispute, always going back to the Quran. And he mentions other things also. So this is the first type of people who are negligent. The second type of people are those who are moderate, i.e. those in the middle. Okay? Those who are in the middle, they're the ones that read, they memorize, they ponder, they act upon it, they treat the sick with it, they listen to it, and all of the things that we mentioned. And this is the way of the Salaf. This is the way of the Salaf. From the proofs that this is the way of Salaf is what we mentioned here. Okay? As you can see, they 10 ayat, they would memorize it, they would ponder upon it, and they would act upon it. This is the way of the Salaf. And those that go to the other extreme, they read and memorize, but without pondering, not acting upon it. And this is something which, I've seen also in masajid. Some masajid, they are very proud of how good their Hifz class is. However, you're not being sent just to memorize the Quran. That why do we memorize is to help you understand the Quran better and then act upon it. There are some that just memorize, and then you'll find these people don't pray. You'll find sometimes kids, they get forced to memorize, and as soon as they finished, even the family thinks my son's made it. Sometimes the parents have bad intentions, thinking that I just want to do it so I can show off to the people or whatever it may be. As soon as they finish memorizing, they leave them, and then you'll find that they are falling into so many sins and they leave off the Quran, and most of the time they end up forgetting the Quran. Okay, and the Quran has not been sent just to memorize. Okay, but it's been there for you to understand and ultimately act upon it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Kitabun anzalnahu ilayka mubarak liyadabbaru ayatih. The Quran has been sent so you can ponder over its meanings. You can ponder over its meanings. And Prophet said in Muslim, Al-Quran hujjatul laka aw alayk. The Quran is a proof for you or against you. And that's by you pondering over it, learning about it, and then ultimately acting upon it. So these are 3 types of people when it comes to the Quran. Those who are negligent, those who are extreme, and those who are in the middle. And those in the middle are those people that we are trying to be like. This is the proof for those that abandon the Quran. Allah, Surah Furqan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّ إِنَّ قَوْمِ اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, the Prophet will complain and he would say, "Oh my Lord, indeed my people have taken this Quran as a thing abandoned," meaning they have abandoned the Quran. And if you notice, the word Arabic is mahjura, okay? And it sounds similar to hijrah. What's hijrah? Hijrah is migration, right? So it's not just abandon. What's migration? Migration, a person migrated from Mecca to Medina. The Sahaba migrated from Mecca to Abyssinia. What is that? It's where you completely leave it off and you go far away from it. So the person will be complaining that there are people from my nation, meaning from the Muslims, that have completely neglected, completely migrated and done hijrah and abandoned the Quran. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to make us from these people. Right, now we're coming towards the end. With a question which is normally asked a lot: which tafsir should we begin with? Advisors, which tafsir? Okay. Now, generally, I noticed I said the word generally because this is something Shaykh Usaymi has mentioned, other people have mentioned also. Whenever you ask that, what is the best book? What is this? This is something nisbi. It's something subjective, something which is it changes depending on the person, his how how intellectual he is, how strong his Arabic may be, or which country he is in, which madhab does he follow. It could rely upon a number of things. For example, if you're let's say, example, you're in a country, everyone's following the Shafi'i madhab, and somebody comes to you and say, a student comes from that country and he says, which madhab should I study? You don't say to him, okay, the Hanafi madhab. What's he going to do with that? Okay, everyone, he's going to go back and he's going to confuse everybody, and the people won't accept him. The people that say that this person just come to, divide us, he doesn't know what he's talking about, and so on. So for this person, it will be a different answer. But the question is the same. It might be somebody from a different country, and be a different answer. But the question is the same, but the answer is different. So this can differ according to a number of reasons. But generally speaking, what the ulama advise the best tafsir is tafsir al-Sa'idi. Tafsir, you can say al-Sa'idi and you can say al-Sa'idi. Tafsir al-Sa'idi. Okay, why do ulama advise tafsir al-Sa'idi? Okay, or why are we saying tafsir al-Sa'idi should be the first tafsir a person starts off with? The first is there's 6 reasons. The first is the advice of the scholars. This is something that scholars advise, and I've heard this from a number of scholars. And one of my classmates was telling me that Shaykh Qasim, I didn't hear this directly from him, but I heard it from a classmate because I wasn't there. But somebody asked Shaykh Qasim, advised some books that we should recite before sleeping, and one of the books he said is Tafsir al-Sa'idi. Because this tafsir is one of the best tafsir, generally speaking, especially for beginners. So the first reason why we start off with Tafsir al-Sa'idi is because of the advice of the scholars. Number 2, it's concise, thus appropriate for a new student to read. It's very concise, meaning it's very small. You can find it in 1 volume, okay? Or there's another print at Arab Jawzi, which is 4 volumes, but that's very, very spaced out. There's a lot of space to write, etc. But you can find it in 1 volume. Whereas Tafsir ibn Kathir, look at the English, 10 volumes. Okay, this is very concise. It'll summarize everything for you and put everything in a few lines. Okay, so for example, instead of reading in Tafsir ibn Kathir, and somebody just asked me, what is Tafsir ibn Kathir for beginners? I would not advise Tafsir ibn Kathir. Tafsir ibn Kathir is not for beginners. Tafsir ibn Kathir is not for beginners. I mean, Tafsir ibn Kathir, 2 ayah, the tafsir of it the Arabic that I've got will be 2. Would be, so many pages, subhanAllah. Actually, I've got Tafsir ibn Kathir with me right now. Let me show you. Let me just show you. This is one of the prints that I've got, Tafsir ibn Kathir. Right. We've got Tafsir ibn Kathir. Okay, this is Dar ibn Jawzi print. So first to open it, right, it's a random ayah. Right. We've got an ayah here. Surah Baqarah, ayah number 11. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ لَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ قَالُوا إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُصْلِحُونَ أَلَا إِنَّهُمْ هُمُ الْمُفْسِدُونَ وَلَكِنْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. So this is the ayah. As you can see, this page, it starts here at the top. The ayah is there in the box. It starts at the top. The rest of the page is the tafsir of this. If you turn over, the next page fully is also the tafsir of this ayah. And then the next ayah starts on the last line of that page, i.e. it's 2 pages basically. It's 2 pages, basically. I mean, subhanAllah, that is quite short. That might not be the best example. A better example could be the next one. If you see the next ayah here, which starts halfway through the page, okay? This goes on for this half a page, another full page, another full page, another full page, and then the following page after that. That's when following page after that. That's when it. That's when it finishes. SubhanAllah, sorry, my tablet fell down. Okay, so that would be how many pages? And the only reason I'm showing you books because this is something which a lot of students, they falter in, which is not knowing which books to start off with. Okay, and this is something we'll take into Azim al-Ilm also. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, about 4 full pages. This is what tafsir of the ayah. Whereas in tafsir Sa'adi, that here would be 4 lines, 4 small lines. Allahu Akbar. Imagine how much time you would save. So obviously for a beginner, he's not used to reading, nor will he understand all of that. So for a beginner, it's better for him to start off with this tafsir Sa'adi. And as I was saying, one of the reasons, one of the mistakes that a student knowledge makes is not knowing the correct methodology of studying, not knowing the correct books to study. It's like, for example, you want to go to Makkah, for example, okay? Now, let's say you want to go to Makkah, and there's a path that goes straight to Makkah, okay? I mean, here in Medina, there's actually a pathway. It's called Tariq al-Hijrah. It's the same pathway the Prophet took for Hijrah. That's only the main, motorway or America highway that they take to go to Makkah. So if you go on that, you're going to be there for 5 hours. However, if you don't ask anyone and you just start going on a random road, and let's say you end up taking the motorway or the highway that takes you to Tabuk, to another place, no matter how fast you drive, you could be driving, 200 miles per hour, okay? No matter how fast you drive, you're not going to reach the destination. You're going to reach the wrong destination, then realize you've done something wrong, and then head all the way to Makkah. It's going to be a lot longer, a lot harder. Whereas if you follow the advice of the ulama, took the correct path, it'll make that road of studying a lot shorter for you. That's why it's very, very important to study the advice of the ulama. Okay, back to this. Number 3, its expressions are easy and clear without any ambiguity. So Tafsir al-Sa'di is very, very easy to understand and it's clear. He doesn't really use any hard words or anything like that. It's very, very clear to understand. And number 4, it helps one to act upon the Quran by the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The way he's done the tafsir is that it encourages one to act upon it. It encourages one to act upon the tafsir of that ayah. Number 5, the author, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon him, emphasizes on the oneness of Allah, i.e. upon Tawheed. Upon Tawheed, he has a very strong, he talks a lot and emphasizes a lot on the matter of at-Tawheed. And this is something you might not necessarily find out the tafsir. So for example, Tafsir al-Jalalain, which is also a beginner's tafsir, and it's a very good tafsir, but they have some issues when it comes to asma wa sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, etc. So it's not advised for a beginner to read that book by himself. It's a good tafsir to go through, but with a teacher. Whereas Tafsir al-Sa'di, you're able to read it by yourself because you know his aqidah is salima. Point number 6 is there's very few differences of opinion. Whereas Tafsir ibn Kathir, one ayah he will say Qatada said this, Mujahid said this, Ibn Abbas said this, Ikrimah said this, and it's too many aqwal, it's too many opinions. As a beginner, I mean, for one ayah you can maybe do it, but if you want to study a lot of tafsir, you get confused. You learn the difference of opinion for one ayah, 5 ayahs later you forget what was the actual masala in the first ayah. And this is something which is known in fiqh and also in tafsir. So this is something which is very, very important. Good question. Jazakallah khair. Who is the author of Tafsir al-Sa'di and who was he the teacher of? So Tafsir al-Sa'di is by Imam al-Sa'di, Abdurrahman al-Sa'di, and he was a teacher of Ibn Uthaymin rahimahullah. He was a teacher of Ibn Uthaymin rahimahullah, and he passed away approximately, was it 80 years ago, 90 years ago? I can't remember the exact year where he passed away. So this is why I want to start with Tafsir al-Sa'di. 6 reasons. Advice of the ulama, it's concise, it's easy, it helps you act upon it, the author emphasizes upon the Tawheed, and there's very few differences of opinion. He'll only mention differences of opinion when it's needed, when it's like a valid or it's a very strong opinion. Sometimes some differences of opinion, it's not really strong. There's no need for a beginner to know that difference of opinion. Now, at the bottom, however, if you read what it says here, in this course, we shall be sticking to Shaykh Arsami's tafsir, inshallah. That's a general, this answer that we gave by Tafsir al-Sa'idi, that's a general answer regarding tafsir. However, us, we're going to stick to Shaykh Arsami's. Why is that? Because this is a book specifically for these surahs that we are going through. So for that reason, we're going to stick to what Shaykh Arsami said, and I'll bring fawaid from Sa'idi and maybe from other places extra, but the main thing will be from the tafsir of Shaykh al-Arsami, Hafidhahullah ta'ala. The importance of starting with the Quran. So it's very important for surah knowledge, when he starts seeking knowledge, that he starts with the Quran. I mean, we've got a statement of Imam al-Tabari at the bottom where he says, I am amazed by those who do not understand the Quran. How do they enjoy it? How do they enjoy the Quran? Okay, and this is a lecture which I gave a few weeks ago, which I believe is one of the most important lectures that I've done, which is basically going through the importance of starting with the Quran. So as you can see, this is the one. I mean, if you go onto my YouTube channel, not this one. Okay, I've actually made a playlist of some of the Quran. So in here are is this lecture, and also the other lectures that we talked about in the last lesson. They're also here. Sheikh, the book of Tafsir Sa'di is 10 volumes in English. Yeah, in English, when they translated it, come across it. I mean, it's quite new. I think it came out last year. But compared to Tafsir, I think what they've done is that they have. A lot, but it's a lot short, maybe a sixth of the size of Tafsir Ibn Kathir in reality. Right. Okay. What now? We're going to finish off, inshallah. Is this the last slide? No, this is the last slide. What I expect from you. So in this course, what do I expect from the students? Okay. So in terms of memorization, the surahs that we go through, you should memorize those. Everyone. This should be every person. Okay. Half of the surahs you'll know anyway. So it's only a few surahs that you might have to memorize. Surah Fatihah, Surah Nas, Surah Falaq, Ikhlas, Surah Lahab, and so on. Okay. All the way into Surah Al-Duha. Number two is to know the general topics of each surah. Each surah, what is it talking about? What's the general theme of each surah? What's the general objectives of each surah? That every single person should know. The third, this is more optional, this is for more for those who are more serious or higher level, is to be able to translate each surah word for word. Or if not word for word, then at least each ayah by ayah, what is each ayah referring to? Okay? Because that will make you a lot stronger when it comes to doing tafsir. And lastly, number four is to make notes. Okay, because the book is in Arabic. You know, as I mentioned before, I wasn't able to find a English translation for it. There are brothers that I know who are working on it, but after speaking to them, they said that most likely they'll be finished the translation after we finish the book. So I couldn't wait that long. So make sure you have a notepad ready and make sure you take a lot of notes. The book itself is in Arabic. And with that, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us sincere, to grant us beneficial knowledge. We ask Him to make us from the people of the Quran and to accept it from us. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in.